I wonder how many animated films I watched a lot as a kid. Hey everyone, this is Rapid Respawn AnimationBliss, and welcome to our first ever community challenge. So, what's a community challenge, you guys ask? Well, community challenge is something like whenever I make a video that discusses about a specific topic. So in this particular video, I'm going to talk about my top 10 animated films that I watched a lot as a kid. And so the goal of this video is to challenge you guys into making your own top 10 video regarding your top 10 animated movies that you watch a lot as a kid. And if you guys want to participate in this challenge, then you could type in the comments down below, challenge accepted, and you can even tag me at AnimationBliss, so that way I would know that you guys are participating in this challenge. And once you guys participate in this challenge, then I will watch your videos and I will post your videos on our community tab, so that way I will let everybody know that you participate in this challenge and let everybody else watch your videos. So that's pretty much what this community challenge is all about. So yeah, the topic for this video is my top 10 animated movies that I watched a lot as a child. And before I get into this list, here are a few things that you guys should know about. Number 1. This list is based off of my personal opinion, so there might be some animated movies that are not on this list that you guys think should have been on this list. So please let me know in the comments down below what animated movies you guys think should have made this list. Number 2. There's going to be some massive spoilers in this video, so if you guys haven't seen any of the movies that are mentioned in this video, then you might want to check out these movies first before watching this video. However, if you have seen all these movies in this video and you want to see my thoughts on these movies, then keep watching. And number 3, this is a community challenge video, so if you guys are interested in participating in this challenge by making your own videos about your own top 10 animated movies that you watch a lot as a child, then please comment down below, challenge accepted, and that will help me know that you guys have participated in this challenge, and I will showcase your videos in the community tab. Alright, let's get started with this video.
I see the world and all the creatures.
So Fern Gully, the Last Rainforest is about a fairy named Krista who is very curious about the world outside of the rainforest. But everybody keeps telling her that she should stay away from humans. One day, however, Krista ends up meeting with a human boy named Zach, and she ends up shrinking him down to her size once he was in danger. And after this, the two started bonding with each other. But unfortunately, at the same time, an evil spirit named Hexus wants to destroy the rainforest, and so he tries to destroy the rainforest, while Krista tries to do everything she can to save the rainforest. So Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest was a movie I watched a lot as a kid, and the main reason why I watched this movie a lot as a kid was not only because of the late Robin Williams' performance as Batty and because of Tim Curry's performance as Hexus, but it was also because of all the 90s songs that was going in this movie. I know, having all those songs that came from the 1990s pop up in this movie may have dated this movie a lot, but at the time it was really entertaining for me to listen to all these 1990s songs pop up in this movie, and it made the movie really stand out to me in a very meaningful way, especially for somebody who grew up in the 1990s. So yeah, I really enjoyed watching this movie a lot as a kid.
You'll stop when I...
So Pinocchio and the Emperor and the Night is technically an unofficial sequel to Pinocchio, or to Carlo Collodi's original story, and it basically starts off with Pinocchio becoming a real boy, and we get to see how he's trying to deal with life as a real boy. And then Pinocchio's father Geppetto ends up telling Pinocchio about this jewel box, and he wanted Pinocchio to take the jewel box to the mayor, but unfortunately Pinocchio ends up not going to the mayor's, and he ends up delivering the jewel box to these two con artists. And it turns out that these con artists gave Pinocchio a fake jewel, and so Pinocchio ends up being so upset about the whole thing that he ends up leaving home and trying to find the jewel box. And it was during that time that Pinocchio discovers about the Emperor of the Night, and the Emperor of the Night tries to transform Pinocchio back into a puppet. So I used to watch this movie a lot as a kid, and not only because it was from the creators of He-Man and She-Ra, which were two shows that I used to watch a lot as a kid, but it was because it dealt with Pinocchio. And I am a huge fan of the Pinocchio fairy tale, so anything that has Pinocchio in it, of course, I'm going to watch a lot. I used to watch this movie a lot as a kid because it starred Pinocchio, and I was interested in seeing what Filmation's take on Pinocchio was going to be like, and they had a really interesting take on this character since this movie is darker and edgier than the original fairy tale, and I really loved that. So yeah, Pinocchio and the Emperor and the Night is definitely one Pinocchio film that you guys should check out.
Why not? What kind of game is this?
So The Last Unicorn starts off with a unicorn who finds out that she's the last of her kind, as it turns out that the Red Bull has been kidnapping all the other unicorns, and so the last unicorn tries to go on a journey in order to rescue the other unicorns. This is a movie I used to watch a lot as a kid, mostly because it had a darker, edgier tone to it than any of the other animated films I used to watch a lot as a kid, and I was always interested in how much profanity was being used in this film. Like, I know that profanity in films nowadays is not as much of a big deal as it was back then, but back then, it was a pretty big deal for me when this movie used a bit of profanity, because a lot of the animated films that I watched a lot as a kid didn't have a lot of profanity for obvious reasons. But yeah, this is one of the few animated films I watched a lot as a kid to have profanity in it, and that's what made me really interested in checking out this film. So the brave little toaster starts off with these appliances being left behind by the master, and they decide to go on this dangerous journey in order to find the master and reunite with him. So the brave little toaster was actually a film I used to watch a lot as a kid. Like, there was so much about this film that I loved, but the biggest thing that I loved about this film was the music by David Newman. Like, the music of this film was so beautiful that I ended up rewatching this film over and over again because of the music. And the reason why I watched this film a lot as a kid was because it was unlike any other animated film I used to watch a lot as a kid. Because even though it does have some songs in it, like, it had a darker tone to it than any other animated film that I watched at the time. And it was that darker and edgier tone that I really loved about this movie. So yeah, I watched this movie a lot as a kid for its darker, edgier tone and for David Newman's music. So the original 1992 version of Disney's Aladdin starts off with a peasant named Aladdin who's struggling to survive in the streets until he meets up with the Princess Jasmine, and he ends up falling in love with her. But unfortunately, because Aladdin is a peasant, he can't really get near Jasmine. And so he ends up going to the Cave of Wonders and he finds a magic lamp, and it turns out that the lamp has a genie in it, and the genie is able to grant Aladdin's wishes anytime he wants to, and so Aladdin decides to become a prince in order to impress Jasmine. But unfortunately, at the same time, Jafar, who's the Sultan's vizier, discovers about the magic lamp, and he tries to steal the magic lamp from Aladdin. So this was a Disney film that I watched a lot as a kid, and it's mostly because of the vocal talents of Robin Williams as the genie, as well as his very wacky tone. So when I was little, I did watch a lot of animated films that were funny, but Disney's Aladdin was really funny. Like, it was like the funniest animated film I saw at the time, and I just love the wacky tone of this movie. And of course, I love the late Robin Williams portrayal of the genie in this movie. Like, the genie is definitely the most iconic character in this movie, and I just love listening to Robin Williams' voice for the character. So yeah, I used to watch Disney's Aladdin a lot as a kid.
What's the matter, beast? Too kind and gentle to fight back?
So Disney's Beauty and the Beast starts off with a young girl named Belle who loves to read, and the town hero Gaston wants to marry her, but of course Belle is not interested in Gaston at all. One day, however, Belle's father, Maurice, goes to town to deliver his invention, but unfortunately he ends up getting lost in the woods and he ends up at the Beast's castle. And it was then that the Beast ends up imprisoning Maurice. And when Belle finds out that her father has been imprisoned by the Beast, she ends up going to the Beast's castle to rescue her father. But then she ends up staying with the Beast in order to save her father. And at first, Belle and the Beast didn't like each other, but as the movie goes on, they start falling in love with each other. And that's essentially what this movie is all about. So I used to watch this movie a lot as a kid. Like, not only did I love the songs in this movie, but I also really loved the characters. Like, Gaston was like one of the Disney villains that really stood out to me because he's like overly hammy with his personality, and yet he can be dark and threatening when he wants to be. And he always stood out to me as a Disney villain when I was a kid. And again, I love the music in this movie, like especially the song Beauty and the Beast and Be Our Guest. Those were some of the most iconic songs for me in regards to this movie. So yeah, I definitely watched Disney's Beauty and the Beast a lot as a kid. So The Little Mermaid starts off with a young mermaid named Ariel, and she's so curious about the human world, and she ends up falling in love with a human named Eric. But unfortunately, her father, King Triton, doesn't like humans, and when he discovers that Ariel actually had a grotto that's full of human trinkets, he ends up destroying Ariel's grotto, and this upsets Ariel so much that she ends up going to the sea witch Ursula to become a human herself. And now Ariel has to find a way to make Eric fall in love with her, or else she would turn back into a mermaid and belong to Ursula. So Disney's The Little Mermaid was another film I used to watch a lot as a kid. I love the film because of the music, and I also love the film because of the humorous nature of it. Like, there's a lot of humorous moments in this film, and I just love the wacky tone of this movie, but I also really love the dark moments in this film as well. Like, any scene with Ursula was pretty dark, and of course there's that infamous scene where King Triton destroys Ariel's grotto. That's a scene that really stood out to me because it's like you have a parent destroying their child's personal belongings, and it always reminded me about what would happen if my parents destroyed my Funko Pop collection. Of course, I'd be very mad with my parents for a long time if that were to happen. But yeah, I really loved The Little Mermaid because it had a nice balance between being dark and being comical at the same time, and I just love that.
And he shall smite the wicked and plunge them into the fiery pit.
So Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame starts out with a hunchback named Quasimodo, and he's forced to remain in Notre Dame because the people in Paris hates Quasimodo because of his ugly looks. One day, however, a beautiful Romani girl named Esmeralda meets up with Quasimodo, and she ends up being very nice to Quasimodo, and it was then that Quasimodo falls in love with Esmeralda because she was the only person who actually treated Quasimodo kindly. But unfortunately, this gains the attention from Judge Claude Frollo, who's Quasimodo's guardian, and Frollo tries everything he can to capture Esmeralda, even though Esmeralda clearly doesn't love Frollo. So this is one of my most watched Disney movies when I was a kid because I just love the antagonist Frollo so much. Like, Frollo is probably one of the darkest Disney villains I have ever seen, and there's like so many moments with this guy that really made this film so dark to watch, especially his song Hellfire, which was like the darkest song I ever heard of any Disney film. So yeah, I watched The Hunchback of Notre Dame a lot as a kid because of Frollo himself as a character. So Who Framed Roger Rabbit starts up with a detective named Eddie Valiant, and it was then that he finds out that a famous person named Marvin Acme ends up being murdered, and it turns out that Roger Rabbit is the prime suspect in this murder case. So now Eddie Valiant has to figure out a way to clear Roger Rabbit's name while trying to avoid Judge Doom at the same time. I absolutely loved watching this film as a kid. There's like so many things that I loved about this movie. Like, the biggest thing that I loved about this movie was the fact that it was about cartoon characters interacting with live action characters. Like, at the time when the movie was first released, that was something that rarely happened in movies at the time, and I just love how this movie was able able to have all these live action characters interact with the cartoon characters in such a meaningful way. And I just love seeing all my favorite cartoon characters like Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse all come together on the big screen, which is why it's so sad that this is probably going to be the last film that has Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny interacting with each other on screen. But anyway, yeah, I love watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit so much as a kid because of the premise of this movie, and I also really love watching this movie a lot as a kid because of Judge Doom. Even though Judge Doom is like the creepiest villain I've seen in any Disney film at the time, he was definitely one of the most interesting villains that I've seen at the time, and every scene with Christopher Lloyd on screen was fantastic to watch. So yeah, I love watching Who Framed Roger Rabbit a lot as a kid. Before I unveil my number one pick, here are a few words from the channel. All aboard the Animated Social Media Express. Want to send some tweets my way? Then follow me on Twitter. Want to join our special animation community? Then join our Discord group, AnimationBliss. Want to see more updates on our YouTube videos? Then check out our Facebook group, AnimationBliss. Want to download on everything going on with this channel? Then check all the above. And now, back to the video.
Murderer. Simba, please have mercy, I beg you.
You don't deserve to live.
So The Lion King is about a young cub named Simba, whose father is the great king Mufasa. And Simba wanted to become king one day, but unfortunately his uncle Scar hated Mufasa and wanted to become king himself. So he ends up murdering his own brother Mufasa, and he pins the blame on Simba. And because of that, Simba ends up running away from the Prairie Lands, and he ends up meeting with Timon and Pumbaa. And now Simba realizes that ever since Scar took over the Prairie Lands, things have become worse for everybody there. So he ends up trying to go back to the Prairie Lands to save it from Scar. So of course The Lion King is like one of my all-time favorite animated films, and so this was the film that I loved watching a lot as a kid. Not only did I watch this film a lot because of the music, but I loved watching this movie a lot as a kid because of the themes. Even when I was young, I noticed how deep this movie really was, especially with the scene of Mufasa's death, as that scene stayed with me even through adulthood, because it was just such an impactful scene. And then I love the fact that Simba tries to make up for his own mistakes and tries to go back to the Prairie Lands to save him from Scar. It's just such a fantastic character progression for Simba's character, and I just love how this film was able to deal with that. So Disney's The Lion King is definitely my most watched animated film as a kid. So those are my top 10 animated movies that I watched a lot as a kid, and I noticed that a lot of the animated movies on this list were from Disney. Like when I was little, I used to watch a lot of Disney films as a kid, and a lot of the Disney films that I used to watch a lot as a kid were fantastic to watch, and I just had to watch most of them over and over again. But yeah, that's my top 10 animated movies that I watched a lot as a kid, and tell me in the comments down below, what are your top 10 animated films that you watch a lot as a kid? Please let me know in the comments down below. And if you guys want to participate in this challenge and make your own videos detailing your top 10 animated movies that you watch a lot as a kid, please type down in the comments down below, challenge accepted, and I will know that you guys have participated in this challenge, and I will showcase your videos and your blog posts on this channel's community tab. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Rabbia's blog, AnimationBliss, and I'll see you guys later. Hey animation fans, like this video? If you want to see more animated content from this channel, then please hit that big old animated subscribe button so that you can get more awesome content from this channel.